just because you're mentally healthy doesn't mean that you don't need to continuously care about your mental health. It's kind of like if I go to the gym and I get a six pack, then,
Right.
it's not like the six pack's just going to stay there. I have to go to the gym very often to maintain those nice abs, or they're just going to
Right.
go back to being a regular stomach. And
Right.
not that you need to have a six pack, but it's kind of that idea. Once you get fit, physically fit, that's something you have to maintain. And it's something that requires going to the gym a lot and maintaining that. And then you do stay in great physical shape. Same thing with your mental health. If you have good mental health, it's not like, okay, now I'm done. You have to maintain that mental health. And I think if people were to think about it that way, then a lot of the stigma would go away and we'd all live mentally healthier lives. And I think that would solve a lot of problems.
Yeah, I agree. And I love that you see it that way because it's so true. And you mentioned about your sister Shelby, how like on the outside everything looked fine, but on the inside she was not mentally healthy. And I know that it's difficult for people to recognize too, and I think that it's so great what you've done with Team, because I think that allows us, especially with what we're sharing on social media too, like just recognizing, oh, like even for me, like reading about the stories that are on that feed that we have has helped me recognize in my own life, oh, okay, that's where that behavior is coming from, that's what's going on. Because I think a lot of times, and I think you can maybe relate to this too, if we don't know about something, like if we don't know what depression or anxiety is, when people are behaving in a way that we haven't recognized before, it's like, oh, what's going on? And a lot of times it can result in judgment sometimes, and isolation, and for both people, like feeling like, I don't know what's going on with my friend, or my friend's just like, this person doesn't understand what's going on. So it's great to be able to share our stories more. And I love the website that you have, like Art of Ending Stigma too, which is so beautiful. It's like another way of sharing your story, which is through artwork. I'd love to learn more about that as well, and how that weaves into Team and MiResource, and making the world a mentally healthier place.
What you just said was super important, because if we could recognize within ourselves sooner that we're not in a mentally healthy place, then it's a lot easier to get better. But a lot of times we don't know the difference between, what's normal sadness and when is it too much sadness and that I need to get help. And if we can start being more in tune with our own mental health and recognizing when we're starting to get a little bit out of whack, then we can get a little bit of a tune up and then we're back at healthy. But if we wait until we're in a place where we're experiencing significant pain, then it's a lot harder and it takes a lot longer to get better. It's absolutely possible. But if we can start identifying that sooner and being okay with reaching out for help and taking that extra time to address our mental health and to work at our mental health, just like that we take time out of the day to go to the gym every day. It's completely normal to spend a couple hours a week going to the gym. And we probably don't go every day, but we do allocate time, a significant amount of time of our lives, to staying physically fit. And if we could do the same thing with our mental health, then we'd be a lot happier. And that's really, why it's so important too, that we share stories with each other about our experiences with our mental health and how we live mentally healthier lives, and how other people can help support our journey to mental health. Because I think a lot of times people want to help, but they're afraid because they don't know what to do to help. And I think really that's generally the root of stigma in a lot of cases, is this fear of saying the wrong thing, or not knowing what to do, or not really understanding it. And one of the things that's really helped me is, well, one, reading Team, creating the website and reading all the articles. So go to Team and read about it. And another thing is if you get, and again, thinking about our mental health like our physical health. And there's a great video on Team that kind of or shows the two of them together side by side. And, if I fall and I break my arm, I'm going to go to the doctor and I'm going to get a checkout. And then I'm going to go back to the doctor every once in a while for another checkup. And in between those visits, I'm going to do some physical therapy and I'm going to spend time caring for my arm. And then over time, as my arm heals, I need to do less and less. And then if I go back to playing sports again and my arm starts to hurt, I go back to physical therapy, and I go see the doctor. And the process kind of goes along like that. You spend more time when the arm is hurt, and then over time you can gently, just do some more maintenance stuff. And then if it starts to hurt again, then you go back to the doctor and you just pay attention to it. It's the same thing with our mental health. So if somebody's not feeling quite right, you notice that your friend's struggling with something going on in their life, or they're just not quite feeling like themselves, then encourage them. Hey, maybe you should go to a therapist and, and get your arm checked out. It's the same thing. Get your brain checked out. And then the other thing too is that we don't necessarily, just as when I fall and break my arm, I don't really know exactly the nitty gritties of what's going on inside my arm. The same thing holds for mental health. I don't really need to understand the neuroscience to be able to then get better. Sure, it might be interesting to learn about, and that's great. But I think you don't need to worry about being able to comprehend exactly what depression is or exactly what anxiety is in order to help somebody. You just need to come from a loving and caring place. Just like, if my friend has an infection, has scraped themselves and has a crazy infection, I may know nothing about the way, the immune system works and fighting the infection and exactly what's going on a cellular level with that infection. But all I know is that my friend's in pain and I love them and I want to help them get better. And that's the same thing with mental health. You don't need to understand exactly what's going on. All you need to know is that you care about them and you want to love and support them and help them get to the doctor so that they can get better.
I love that.